Now our third character, Candace, or Kandake, or Kanchan from Honkai Impact. Here it is, Kanchan from Honkai Impact, just in the flesh. She is the only 4-star of the next patch, and the new 4-star of the next patch. Hydro spear user, so nothing we've never seen before. We have actually no, we don't have a Hydro spear user. Never mind, I was about to say we've had a Hydro spear user. We haven't. My apologies. But yes, a Hydro spear user. Based on HP again, much like Nilo. Max HP scaler, Hu Tiao, Zhongli, Nilo, other characters that have HP as their scaling stat. And that's her Ascension stat, 24% at max, 5% crit rate, 50% crit damage. It's all standard. Standard stuff. Onto the skill though, the normal attack, again, from my knowledge, is irrelevant. She's if I'm to sum it up in one word, she's not a main DPS, that's about it. That's not even one word. I can't fucking speak. Can she parry enemies? Yes, she can. She's a parrier, don't worry about it. She is a parrier. Anyway, I don't believe there's anything too important about her normal attack, so we're not going to focus on it. Going on to her skill, Candace's fighting style is capable of warding off an entire tide of foes. Tap the button, tap your skill, and rush forward with her shield, dealing hydro damage. That's what she does. You press the button, hydro damage. Press, hydro, done. Then you hold, she raises her shield to block incoming attacks from nearby opponents, forming a barrier that absorbs damage based on her max HP and absorbs hydro damage 250% more effectively. This barrier lasts until the elemental skill is unleashed. Beidou, Yunjin. It works identically. That's it. It's as simple as that. After holding for a certain period of time, Candace will finish charging, and when the skill button is released, the skill duration expires, or when the barrier is broken, she'll perform a leaping strike that deals hydro damage to opponents in front of her. It's great, right? Yunjin, and not like Beidou. Beidou, I do believe, to actually get max value out of her counter. Sorry, it's counter. To get max value out of Beidou's, you do need a perfect counter, whilst characters like Yunjin and now, from my understanding, Candace, are going to be characters that have like a failsafe, that if you can't get that perfect counter, as long as you hold the button down for the whole duration, you will get the maximum value of damage out of it. It's removing a bit of skill from it, which I don't think is necessarily a good idea, but I'm not going to fucking try to complain. This character already has too much controversy about her. I'm not here to make any more. It's a fine thing. The interesting stuff is the actual damage of it. So if you're just tapping, rather, the shield absorption isn't really relevant. I don't think any character is, or any enemy is ever going to do enough damage to break the shield. But as for the damage, just the tap is 24% of her max HP. It's quite a lot. Quite a lot. And then I'm looking at the wrong one, sorry. I'm looking at 12 and 13. 13 is 25 on just the tap, 25.5. And then as her charge up, or as the perfect counter, she does 40.46, which is quite a lot. It's quite a lot of damage, to be honest. If you're running, let's say, 50k damage, or sorry, 50k HP, and then you do that, it's a lot of damage. Like, well, that's like 30-something thousand. It's fucking a lot. I can't count. It's like 23,000. I fucking can't count. Anyway, the cooldown here, for pressing is 6 seconds. So tap it, 6-second cooldown, hold it, 9-second cooldown, pretty bog standard Yunjin. As her burst, for her burst rather, raising her weapon on high, Candace calls upon a divine blessing that deals hydro damage based on her max HP and continuously confers the prayer of the Crimson Crown on your active character. And then what prayer of the Crimson Crown does is this effect has the following properties. Characters deal increased elemental damage with their normal attacks. So, if your character deals elemental damage on their normal attacks, she buffs it. And then whenever a character takes the field, they will unleash a rippling wave of water that deals hydro damage to nearby opponents. There's a limited number of waves that can be triggered in the duration of this skill, so you can't just constantly be switching from character to character to trigger this effect. It's a limited amount of times. And that limited amount of time is 3. And then the last thing is, sword, claymore, and polearm wielding characters under this effect will obtain a hydro infusion. You have to note that down. Sword, claymore, and polearm, all the technically physical characters. Bows, I think, are excluded for obvious reasons. But your Sword Claymore get a Hydro infusion, thus you can make any character now a Hydro character. Much like Bennett can make any character a Pyro, Candace can make any character a Hydro. Now, the skill damage is irrelevant. The duration is 9 seconds. The damage bonus that you get to your normal attacks that deal elemental damage is 20%, which is quite a substantial amount of damage. If you do something like, if it doesn't override, let's say something like Hu Tao's skill, and the Pyro Infusion on Hu Tao's skill, if it doesn't, that 20% is actually quite useful. But we move on. It's a 20% damage bonus. The wave that you can only get 3 times, I put up 3 times, does 14% of her max HP. So that's every time you switch in, the first 3 times, you will deal 14% of Candace's max HP as damage to the area around you. The cooldown is 15 seconds with an energy cost of 60. It's decent uptime. It's a duration of 9, cooldown of 15, energy of 60. It's okay. You would want... This is not something that you're going to be targeting. You're maybe going to use Favonius Lance on her, maybe one of the new weapons that is coming out with her, who knows, but she's essentially kind of like a Bennett, kind of like a Yunjin. Bennett, Yunjin, kind of. A bit more towards Yunjin, because Yunjin kind of buffs normal attacks, and this also buffs normal attacks. So yeah, she's kind of like a Yunjin, just for elemental stuff specifically. Which is okay. Maybe you could combo both of them. Yunjin and Candace could make a great combo. You get that elemental damage bonus, and then you get Yunjin's normal attack bonus, and maybe go into like blasting with something like a Ayato. Now, I'm not going to act like the Messiah, but that sounds like a pretty good combo. Maybe you can take out something like a Zhangling out of your team comp, and get that Hydra Resonance with Ayato and Candace, get Bennett and then Yunjin in there, get those guys in there. It's going to be pretty good. I think that's going to be a pretty good team. Ayato, Candace, Yunjin, Bennett. That's going to be a good team, actually. I'm going to try that one when it comes out. That is all the static stuff. Actually, no. We have to go through passives, rather. Sorry, the passives. Climbing stamina reduced by 20%, not imported. Anyway. First passive. If Candace is hit by an attack in the hold duration of her elemental skill, that skill will finish charging instantly. So, what that means is that she doesn't necessarily have a counter, but more so a parry. A counter would, in my eyes, at least in my definition of a counter, is pressing and holding the button at the precise time. By what I'm reading here, this thing right here, at any period in her holding duration, you will counter or parry immediately. So it doesn't work like Yunjin necessarily, where if you hold it and then they don't attack you immediately but attack you slightly after, then you still have to wait for the full duration. This sounds like hold it at any point. You get hit, you immediately parry, which is fine. It removes a lot of the skill required, but I could care less. Whatever. It's fine. Second passive, Sand Arc. Characters affected by the Prayer of the Crimson Crown, which is caused by her elemental burst, will deal 0.5% increased damage to opponents for every 1,000 points of Candace's max HP when they deal elemental damage with their goddamn normal attacks. This is going to be crazy. Sorry, I can just see that this is crazy because guess what? It doesn't actually say that it has a cap. And if they don't cap that, that will be crazy. If that isn't capped, that's going to be crazy. 2,000 HP equals 1% damage bonus. Now, that may not be ridiculous. Let's not act like it's going to be a game breaker, but it's going to make it's just going to make normal attacking so fucking overpowered. And because she makes any character that is a sword, claymore, or spear user into a elemental normal attacker, you can essentially transform, hear me out here, Candace and Razor, combo, press Candace's burst, press Razor's burst, you now have constant electro charge. And if you build Razor for, let's say, Hydra damage, whilst it's obviously not an optimal situation, let me be honest, it's not optimal, just a hypothetical, you can then have this perpetual electro charge with Razor dealing Hydro, his Wolfman dealing Electro, everything's being buffed, big bang shalong. Amazing. And this is going to just kind of exponentially boost that Ayato team that I mentioned earlier, Ayato, Candace, Bennett, Yunjin. Amazing, amazing. Look, that's great. Woo! That's a lot of talking, though. On to the constellations. We've done the guaranteed power. I'm going to structure all these videos the same because I'm a consistent Andy. We've done all the passive power with the passives and the abilities. What are the constellations like? I pressed one button by accident. My apologies. What are the constellations? Now, obviously, this is a 4-star, so constellations aren't going to be all that difficult to get. It's, well, if you're someone, maybe if you're Tectone, maybe impossible to get 4 stars, but whatever. Constellation 1, the duration of her elemental bursts Prayer of the Crimson Crown effect is increased by 3 seconds. Its current duration is its current duration is 12 seconds. 9 seconds. You can increase that to 12. It's okay. You can almost have a 100% uptime. Not exactly 100%. You're 2 seconds short, but it's... you're 3 seconds short, but it's fine. 3 second increase, it's okay. Second constellation, sorry. When Sacred Rite Heron's Guard hits an opponent, Candace's max HP is increased by 20% for 15 seconds. So, you have to use, if you have a C2, you have to use her skill first and then her burst. You have to. Unless it obviously has that kind of updating effect of if you press burst and then skill, but in an optimal situation, skill first, get that max HP increased, and then her burst. That's how it is. C4 shortens the hold cooldown of Sacred Rite Heron's Guard to be the same as the tapping. This is the same thing as Yunjin. I think Yunjin has it at C1 or C2, but it's the same thing. So essentially, these two numbers right here, 6 and 9 seconds, become the same thing of 6 seconds. It's fine, it's welcomed, it's gameplay smoothening. All is good. Last one, C6, the Overflow. When characters, excluding Candace herself, affected by the Prayer of the Crimson Crown caused by her elemental burst, deal elemental damage to opponents using normal attacks, an attack wave will be unleashed that deals AoE Hydro damage equal to 20.93%. What the fuck? Why did they choose 9.93? But 20.93% of Candace's max HP. This effect can be triggered once every 2.3 seconds and is considered elemental burst damage. Kinda like, essentially, now hear me out here, works like Toma's burst, but it's an additional effect on just a C6. That's all it is. It's Toma's burst, but just as a C6. Instead of just the ability itself, it's a C6. 20.1, essentially 21% of Candace's max HP. It's going to be great. And it's considered elemental burst damage. So, guess what? Maybe potentially, if you just want to use just the C6 effect, you could even build her towards something like Emblem of the Severed Fate, or even Wanderer's Trope, Noble Oblige. You could do Noble Oblige and then 2 set Tenacity to get HP and burst damage, which is fine. Or you could go for full energy recharge, Emblem of Severed Fate, to maybe get that elemental burst damage like even higher. But that is all up for testing when the character comes out. To be quite frank with you, this just character feels like the same, maybe higher power potential than Yunjin. Yunjin has incredible power potential because she just boosts normal attack damage based on defense. But the thing is, defense can't go that high. HP, on the other hand, all HP characters, every single character that is scaled directly off of HP, Hu Tiao, Zhongli, fucking Yelan, Nilo, all these characters, they are all known to be powerhouses of the goddamn cell. They are the mitochondria of Genshin Impact. It is known. They are known as the mitochondria, right? And when you scale flat on max HP, it's just a trend. Thing with Yunjin though, defense, lower, not as great. So this just feels like a stronger Yunjin, but only for elemental damage. It's a very specific thing. Only elemental damage on your normal attacks. Yunjin's a bit more broad. She just does normal attacks, so you can use it on physical. This is just elemental damage on normal attacks. Now, the other bit of testing that you'll have to do, or players will have to do with this, is what overrides what depending on what character. We know that her burst overrides sword, claymore, and polearm wielding characters. They gain a Hydro infusion. But the real question stems from, does this override Hu Tao's own infusion? If it does, that obviously might fuck shit up. Characters like Ayato gain like immunity because he's already Hydro. But then also, look at it this way, a character like Yoimiya. Yoimiya, well, obviously she's not a sword, claymore, or polearm wielder. She'll be able to get that elemental infusion, elemental infusion damage bonus from this, which is 20%, right here, 20%. But because she's a bow, she won't get overridden in any way, and also she's a normal attacker, thus able to gain value from this, which is crazy, and then gain value from all of this. And if in the sense of this, if this right here, her C6 is able to actually cause a reaction, you'll be able to then build Candace for HP or max HP elemental mastery and have her cause massive reactions alongside other characters like Hu Tao and Yoimiya if it works out like that. So actually powerhouse character, very high fucking potential to be essentially become a part of a specific meta team, not like, let's say, the meta, because you can't really replace Kazuha Bennett from any team anymore. They're too ingrained in society, and then characters like Raiden Shogun take precedence, but a solid character. Now, as for her weapon, we looked at the weapons for the other two characters. I might as well try to look up the weapon for this character. It's not necessarily her signature weapon, but she does have a weapon that is coming out with her, I believe, or it's used alongside her, and it's the Shifting Windblade. I don't know. Again, I don't know if this is her signature. I do not know. But within 10 seconds after elemental reaction is triggered, attack is increased by 10%, elemental mushroom by 40. I don't think it is, but I just saw gameplay of her using this, so take that with a very small amount of grain of saltiness, that I don't actually fucking know if this is a signature. But you'll probably still want to just use like Staff of Homer or a HP Spear. By the way, there isn't any HP Spear in the game, so the characters kind of get shafted. The only one that is actually Staff of Homer, but that is HP on the ability, not the actual substat. That is Candace. That is that. That is... Oh god, my voice hurts so much.